So you've already been at part of this sustainability event. What's the message that you're bringing from Syngenta?
Well, good morning, and great to be on this morning. I mean, I think there's a number of things. First and foremost is, sustainability in the eyes of many has a number of different definitions, and people take different interpretations of what it really means. I think all views are actually critically important. My sense, though, from yesterday's conversation is that every organisation and government has a slightly different perspective. If we're going to meet some of the Paris Accord metrics that we've set ourselves, then we all need to come together and look at this holistically and not have our own individual plans. And ultimately, it all starts with us as the consumer.
And it starts with us as the consumer, and it starts with every individual then and every business coming up with their thoughts. Do you sense real appetite amongst your customer base to talk about sustainable pesticides and sustainable product? Is it more than just rhetoric? Is there real money behind these sentiments?
Absolutely. I mean, Syngenta hosted a One Agri event in Brazil last week for 1,200 people, stakeholders, including the Ministry of Ag, farmers, government officials, etc. And I was talking to farmers, and the first question he asked me was, so what is Syngenta doing to invest in new technologies, whether that's biologicals, precision application, drone application, etc. For them, it is increasingly important, given the challenges they now face, to have tools in the toolbox that enables them to maximise the return on their fields, but doing it in an environmentally sustainable way and actually meeting the criteria that the consumer, wherever it is in the world, actually wants. So,
and talking about sustainability throws up the topic of weather events. We're seeing quite a lot of wet weather in North America for this time of year, the Western Hemisphere agricultural season. How is that developing? How much do you expect to go unplanted in North America? How does that have an impact on your business?
Yeah, I mean, the US situation is very, very acute. I was there, 3 weeks ago, and I was actually with farmers in the Midwest, and they are, saying to me, I'm a fifth-generation farmer. I know I'm not going to be able to plant what I want to plant, and my income, I've probably got 1 year left where I can sustain myself with the current commodity prices, and now with a reduced acreage of probably between 5 and 10%. They are feeling very, very pressurised at a time when also, obviously, the trade dispute between China and the US is going on. So, the US market is very challenged. Europe's going okay. Obviously, the second half of the year with Latin America, they can make up a lot of the shortfall.
So the trade rhetoric between the US and China clearly impacts some of your customers. How does it impact your business then?
Well, certainly. Farmers will look at the technology and the cost to protect their crops, etc., and their businesses. So ultimately, they'll look at their return on investment and say, am I going to trade up to the best technology, or am I going to make do with last year's technology? So, there's a very, couple that with less acres, you've got a very acute pressure going on at the moment.
So is the trade war driving a lack of investment, do you think?
Potentially, yes.
And you're now owned by ChemChina, of course, your business. Is that having an impact on the way that you're viewed as a business? Because I remember at the time that the takeover was much talked about, some speculated that maybe you'd have more trouble getting approval for product, for example, in the US market because of your association with China. And since then, the rhetoric between the US and China has only got louder. So has that been an issue so far?
To date, no, not at all. We haven't. I mean, at the end of the day, the US farmer is probably the most sophisticated in the world, and they will use the best technology they can from whichever company is going to provide it. So, to date, we've seen little to no impact from being owned by ChemChina, and despite obviously the trade dispute that's ongoing at the moment. So, we hope that continues. We still believe we have some of the best technology in the industry, and we position it so that it helps farmers meet the challenges that they have today and tomorrow.
And many of your rivals, of course, whether that's Bayer and Monsanto, the other acquisitions and spin-offs and all kinds of other transactions that are taking place in the market, it's a busy time. Others may be distracted. Is it proving to be a good time for you to go about hiring talent or doing other deals as others focus elsewhere?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, 2018 was a successful year for Syngenta. In both of our business, crop protection and seeds, we grew our market share quite considerably, which is extremely encouraging. And the war for talent is no different in my industry than any other, and certainly the distraction and the uncertainty that these big M&A transactions have had has given us a terrific opportunity to recruit some quality people. Interestingly, though, one of the first questions they ask is around our sustainability and what Syngenta stands for when it comes to producing crops.